I was scrolling through YouTube the other day and I came across an old anti-drunk driving commercial. It's one where there's the guy, he's playing with his golden retriever, his best bud, and then the guy says, "Hey, I'm going out drinking," and he walks out the door. And then you see several shots of the golden retriever sitting around and waiting, and it gets dark, and he's waiting, and then the sun comes up, and the poor dog is still waiting. Thankfully, the guy comes back and says, "I decided to sleep elsewhere because I couldn't drive." And the tagline on this one, of course, was, "For some, the waiting never ended. And make a plan to make it home because your friends are counting on you." This got me thinking, what about pets and estate planning? What if that guy hadn't made it home? Well, my name's Gregory Singleton. I'm an attorney from Signature Law, and we're here to talk estate planning. And today is going to be part one of a two-part series on pets and estate planning. This week, we're going to talk about incapacity planning. So if you're incapacitated, what happens to your pet? And the next video, we're going to talk about legacy planning. If you pass away, what happens to your pet? And how do we plan for that? So let's go back to basics real quick and recap. Estate planning really covers two periods. There could be three, but generally we talk about two. The first period that we don't cover is when you're alive and have capacity. The second is when you're alive and incapacitated and cannot make certain decisions for yourself. And the third time is after your death. And today we're going to take that middle chunk change, which is when you're alive and incapacitated. How do we plan to make sure that our pets, our family members and friends, are taken care of if we are suddenly incapacitated? Now, there's two basic strategies we're going to talk about here that are quite important, as well as a couple miscellaneous things tossed in at the end. And the first one I want to talk about is something that you all should have, which is your healthcare directive. This is very simply a provision in your healthcare directive that authorizes someone to be custodian of your pet. Now, remember, it's important to have it in the healthcare directive because this is the document that we make sure to distribute to everyone, to all of our healthcare agents. We throw it in the glove box. We keep a copy on ourselves when we're traveling. By putting it in the healthcare directive, this is the last document that someone's going to have if you are incapacitated. So we make sure to put in a temporary guardian in this case. Notably, if you are incapacitated and you go into the hospital and they contact your healthcare agent, if it's in the healthcare directive, then your healthcare agent is going to know to contact your neighbor to take care of Fluffy. Now, the second strategy that we have is one that isn't employed very often, but I started using a little bit more and more as time goes on. It's a durable financial or durable power of attorney for pet care. Now, as you should be aware, powers of attorney are a document that authorizes someone to make certain decisions on your behalf, to step in your shoes and make those decisions. The common ones we see are going to be for the finances, the durable financial power of attorney, for healthcare, which is the healthcare directive or healthcare proxy or medical power of attorney. All kind of mean the same thing. And the third one is the guardianship directive, which authorizes someone to take care of your minor children. Another one we often see would be a tax power of attorney, so that an individual, your agent, can talk to the IRS. Today, we're talking about the pet power of attorney. What we include in this, it is slightly different than all the other ones because we're just dealing with pets. So there's a few authorities we need to make sure to include. First of all, we need to authorize your agent to find temporary care for the individual. Yes, we might want to say your agent could be the one to take care of the pet, but what if they can't? They need to have authority to just go to a kennel or go to an animal hospital or to another person and say, "You please take care of Fluffy until Gregory regains capacity." Another thing you want to include in the power of attorney will be financing. How do you need to have authority to pay for that kennel or animal hospital, or for food, or for whatever needs to be done to make sure Fluffy is happy. Third authority we need to include is a permanent home. We need to say, if I become permanently hospitalized or institutionalized, or if I am deceased, I authorize my attorney, in fact, to find a home for Fluffy. And the fourth one, the sad one, is what if something bad happens to Fluffy? What if Fluffy gets to the point where Fluffy can no longer live a life with any sort of quality of life and needs to be put down? We need to authorize, under the power of attorney, your agent to actually be able to put down Fluffy if need be. Now, that brings up an important question of release of liability. And there's two releases of liability you need to include in the power of attorney. The first one is of the agent themselves. They aren't going to want to put down Fluffy if they might be sued afterwards, or give Fluffy to be taken care of by an animal hospital if they might be sued for that. The second release of liability needs to be specifically for the euthanasia. If a veterinarian or someone puts down Fluffy under the guidance of your pet care agent, then they need to have a release of liability, because they don't want to be sued when you regain capacity. They don't want you to come back and sue them because they just followed the instructions of your healthcare agent. Now, there is an important thing to note in Minnesota about this kind of power of attorney, and sadly, it's unenforceable. In Minnesota, to have a power of attorney where the authority must be honored by the person that is being interacted with by the agent, it has to be a statutory power of attorney. And we have currently 4 statutory powers of attorney, or 4 or 5 statutory powers of attorney. There's a statutory short form financial power of attorney for finances. There is a healthcare directive power of attorney. There is an IRS tax form, that's a federal level. And there is a guardianship directive for minor children. There is no such thing as a statutory power of attorney for a pet. So what we're really doing is we're creating a license or giving a waiver or contractual authority to our agent to do what they need to do. That's neither here nor there, but just be aware that even though you put in the release of liability, there might be a veterinarian that says, I'm sorry, I can't do what needs to be done for Fluffy because I'm concerned about getting sued. A couple other things to note about incapacity planning. A big one, we're going to talk about this in the next video as well, is we need to make sure that we have notified the individual who is going to be the pet care or taking care of our pet if we're incapacitated. The best way to do this that I know of, first, is have a conversation with them and say, hey, I've nominated you to take care of my horse. Congratulations. You good with that? And if they say, I don't know, or I'm not fine with that, then you need to find someone else. The second thing you need to do is have a wallet insert, and it needs to say, notify in case of emergency your healthcare agents. Once the healthcare agents are notified, they're going to look at their healthcare directive that you've already distributed to them. And they're going to say, oh, I need to notify Bob that he's got to take care of Fluffy now. And we'll make sure that that happens. The other really important thing, anytime we're talking about pets, it's very similar to children. Both pets and children are really bad about telling you what their needs are and what they have to do to live. So pets are incredibly bad at it because they have a really hard time telling you who their veterinarian is, what their medical needs are, what medications are they on, what are their feeding instructions. Some of those soft things, like how many walks a day Fluffy's expecting, are really important. Is Fluffy good with kids? Does he have any experience with kids? Is Fluffy good with cats or other dogs? That can be a problem if they're not. So make sure to include these instructions. You can, I advise drafting them up. So if you have to have somebody watch Fluffy while you're on a vacation, you already have them written down. You just have to give them a copy of those instructions. Distribute it with your power of attorney for pet care, or just to your pet guardians when you have a talk with them, and they'll feel much better about taking care of Fluffy if something does happen to you. So that is my take on incapacity planning for people with pets. I hope you liked today's video. If you did like today's video, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps support the channel. Now, we've taken a couple months off here and there, but we're right back on schedule. We're going to be doing a new video every other week or twice a month. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below or send me an email. Otherwise, until next time, this is Gregory Singleton with Signature Law.